Guys, wouldn't your wife or girlfriend love it if you treated her to the very best this Christmas? Now you can, with the world's softest pajamas by Pajamagram. Created by a team of pajama experts, the world's softest PJs are lighter than a cloud, softer than a bunny, like cashmere, only better. She'll love how heavenly they feel. Includes free gift packaging and Christmas delivery is guaranteed. So visit pajamagram.com or call 1-800-GIVE-PJs.
This is the Locker Room Podcast.
It's the Locker Room here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. That was 850 KOA Denver with the call there. The Denver Broncos having their way with the Dallas Cowboys earlier today.
How do you go 103 yards?
Well, that's
how do you return an interception 103 yards? Somebody run that man down.
That is a keep to leave. That's why.
Throw the bucket off the sideline then.
I am Kirk Morrison, 8-year NFL veteran, ESPN NFL and college football analyst. He is DaMarco Farr, Super Bowl champion with the Rams, as well as the field analyst for the Los Angeles Rams. Oh, man, we are presented to you by Progressive Insurance, but right now it is time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. That's Straight Talk. DaMarco Farr, so much to get into in a day in
Straight
which
Talk. You need to tackle better.
Well, that's tackling around the league, and there's a lot of teams that need to do better at that.
Wow.
But to me, you see a lot of teams with single digits on the board. We had a game that didn't have a touchdown, very eerie of a game that we saw last year, won by the Los Angeles Rams when they beat Seattle, where no one scored a touchdown. That happened in Carolina today as the Carolina Panthers beat the Buffalo Bills 9-3. A lot of games of note, but we're going to start with the game that just ended in Atlanta. It was the Green Bay Packers 23, the Atlanta Falcons 34, and a lot of people were watching this game as Atlanta was up by a couple scores, DeMarco. But at the same time, people were, Twitter was abuzz that can Atlanta hold on to the lead? Can they hold on to the lead? That was going on. But even though it was a game in which, Atlanta just looked so much better than Green Bay. Green Bay not usually where they. At this point in the year, not where they're normally at toward the end of the year, but this was a game of significance because a major record was broken. Here's the record that was broken, or not record that was broken, but a milestone throw for one Aaron Rodgers.
Rodgers at the line of scrimmage now in the shotgun. Takes the snap, shovel pass ahead to Montgomery to the end zone for the touchdown. And Aaron Rodgers has just become the 11th quarterback in NFL history to throw for 300 career touchdowns. The fastest of that milestone and the only quarterback to do it with fewer than 100 career interceptions in NFL history.
Wow, that's 620 WTMJ, Green Bay Packers Radio Network. DeMarco, I'll start there. I know it's in defeat, and you never say
look past that for one day.
You look past that for one day, but I just want to look at just Aaron Rodgers in general.
Right.
He's a model of what you want your quarterback to be. He should be, I think, one of the highest paid players in the NFL, period. He's kind of taken a seat back and let these other quarterbacks, Derek Carr, to name a few, and, Kirk Cousins, Matthew Stafford. But you look at the production of Aaron Rodgers, 300 touchdown passes. When I say the name Aaron Rodgers, what comes to mind first?
Get back. Make sure you have contained. Get to him.
Yes.
I think he's absolutely tremendous. And, outside of, I guess, dare I say, Tom Brady, depending on what side of the Mississippi you live on, this is the quarterback you're going to pick for your football team, your fantasy football team, and what have you. He's just that good. He's playing in the right era to where you can't tear these quarterbacks up anymore. You can't hit him in the head or below the knees. If he played in the 70s, they would try to bust him up because of how good he is and what he does to a defense. But look, if he gets time, even if he doesn't get time, he's going to make time for you, and he can throw dimes all over the field. He's just he's a Hall of Famer in the making, in my opinion.
Yeah, the only thing is, DeMarco, when I look at this with Aaron Rodgers, to me, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, if not the best quarterback, one of the best players. Before you start the season, just go ahead and put him as a MVP finalist because no matter what, he is going to be there.
Yeah, and put the Packers on your Super Bowl list every single year because 12's there.
But that's the question I have for you, though. You mentioned Super Bowl. When I say Aaron Rodgers, wouldn't you think this was a guy who's had multiple Super Bowl appearances, multiple Super Bowl wins? And when it comes down to it, he's only been to the Super Bowl once. He's only been, he's only won.
And he got it done. He did get it done. I mean, look, it's tough to get there.
Do you think it should be more when you think of him? Do you think that window for this team, I mean, obviously it was open for a while. I don't think the window's closed, but it just seems to me the talent that Aaron Rodgers is, for him to only been to one Super Bowl and only had one opportunity to win a Super Bowl, to me, it just doesn't fit. It doesn't sound right.
No, I mean, it takes a lot to get there. I mean, trust me, it's a lot of work that goes into it. I mean, chemistry is very important. I mean, one injury could derail an entire season, or any sort of dissension in your locker room can just derail an entire football season, even if you're a great football team. So the fact that he got there just once, it doesn't deter me from saying that this guy is great. Look, he's got more years to play. I mean, the Packers could get it right. He can't do it alone, right. But the fact that he's there alone means you have a chance to get there. So their defense has let him down once. Injuries has let him down another year. So there's a lot of other factors that goes into Aaron Rodgers only appearing and winning one Super Bowl. But there's still a lot left out there for him to do. And remember who he's bumping into in the NFC. And if he does make it beyond the AFC champion or the NFC championship game, who's going to be on the other side of him competing against him? It's probably going to be another Hall of Fame quarterback. So it's not that easy, even though we think this guy's the best in the business.
Well, his coach right now, Mike McCarthy's at the podium following the Green Bay Packers 34-23 loss to the Atlanta Falcons. Here's Mike McCarthy at the podium.
2 new tackles, brand new loud stadium on turf. 9-man rotation D-line. I mean, that's all part of game planning. So it's we were prepared to play whatever direction we needed to play. So that's the NFL. That's football.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a couple quick answers right there from Mike McCarthy. Yeah, coaches. Yeah, that was a quick
one.
We
good? Let's go.
Yeah, we caught him toward the end of that one, but that is something. Though. I mean, and yes, tonight they opened up the building, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium there in Atlanta. I had a chance to tour it. It is a beautiful facility. They had the roof open tonight. But, kind of talk about that, though, DaMarco, when you have that kind of momentum. I mean, you guys played at the Edward Jones Dome, and when the greatest show on turf was rocking, and you guys were coming off that ball with that rotation, what does that feel like, on the field?
There's almost nothing like opening up a new building. We were in a whole different city, so there was a whole lot of emotion in St. Louis when we got there. But, when you finally open up your dome, your place, your building, I mean, it gives the fans a little extra, so they're a little bit louder. Like you said, it's a new place. It's going to be loud in there. So you want to defend your house. But, I mean, once toe meets leather and the ball's in the air on the first kickoff, it's just football. You can be playing in the parking lot. But just that environment, that electricity, it does take it up a notch because it is something new. You want to make your mark in that new building.
Yeah, you got to make your mark, and that's definitely what I thought the Atlanta Falcons did today, making their mark, showing that they're still one of the perennial contenders in the NFC, and showing that they deserve to put a spot back in the NFC Championship game and bet some more the Super Bowl.
I just thought about something, man. One of my teammates, I stripped Kerry Collins on a sack, and Torn Dorn, my teammate, scooped and scored on the day his son or his first baby was born. So It was a big deal. Yeah, he gave me the game ball, and it was Jackie Slater's 20th year. He played that game. I mean, it took him forever just to get healthy so he can play that game. And I remember we won at home, opening the stadium. That happened to me, my personal little deal. And we carried Jackie Slater off the field. I mean, you want to talk about a great day in 1995. That was awesome.
Well, I think it was a great day today in 2017 on November 17th as they opened that building. The Atlanta Falcons still trying to put away last year's defeat to the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 51. Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. There was a delay today in a football game in Denver, Colorado. The Denver Broncos took on the Dallas Cowboys. But it's sort of the reaction and what's coming out of Denver after the game that's really got people up in arms. I'll let you know what that's all about. You're listening to The Locker Room here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
This is The Locker Room on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
It's The Locker Room here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. presented by Progressive Insurance. You know what's always in season? Surprising a friend or a loved one with a bouquet with 1-800-Flowers.com. 1-800-Flowers has amazing offers on bouquets starting at just $29.99. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. I'm Kirk Morrison. He is DaMarco Farr. And DaMarco's talking about pizza, but
it's an all-season meal, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Summertime,
is an all-season.
wintertime, it's all good.
Yeah, right. It's amazing in the press box as well, too.
Oh, thank you.
But what's always in season is something that has to do with the name Roger Goodell, whether it's something that's controversy, whether it's a ruling, whether it's anything. And coming out of Denver today, as the Dallas Cowboys, first of all, lost to the Denver Broncos in quite untimely fashion, I should say, as the Dallas Cowboys lost 42-17. It was just a bad blowout. Yeah. But the big thing that's coming out of Denver today was that there's rumors of Jerry Jones blocking Roger Goodell's extension. That's what people are that's the reports that are out, and Jerry Jones is fired up. First of all, he's already fired up because his team lost, but he's fired up to have to answer questions about rumors in which he's blocking an extension. Here's Jerry Jones saying that those rumors about him blocking of an extension are just not true.
Well, the main thing is that all of that is without any substance at all. The exercise of looking and extending our commissioner's contract is one that we keep really in tight, and so there are certainly exaggerations there. That's not the way that works. But I've always supported Roger, and let's just leave it at that. I wouldn't dare get in the nuances and would deny anything that was written, whether it was true or not.
Jerry Jones,
whether it's true or not. Wow.
I think a lot of people right now are saying that he's possibly blocking the extension for Roger Goodell only because of the way of the handling of this Ezekiel Elliott suspension appeal and kind of going forward. It's been something which Jerry Jones the whole time has defended and stood up for his guy, and that guy is Ezekiel Elliott. And Denver thought that Ezekiel should be suspended, and we've seen over the last month since the suspension was announced that Jerry Jones has really been mum, hasn't said much, still saying, hey, look, I don't know why he should be suspended. And some have reported he's actually furious about this. DaMarco's, I'm trying to figure out who should I believe. Should I believe the reports or should I believe Jerry Jones in this situation?
Yes, that's what I'd say to that. Yes, absolutely. Believe both. But Jerry Jones
right.
is the guy that employed Greg Hardy at one point, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, I think Roger Goodell may have done you a solid letting that guy back in the league and letting you sign him. If he is upset with Roger Goodell over Zeke Elliott, then that's a little bit petty. I mean, go back and look, since Goodell has been commissioner of the league, how much money have the Cowboys made? How much money has the league made? How much money has Roger Goodell made Jerry Jones since he's been put in place as commish? So if you let all that go to the wayside because of one player, and I get it, he's that good, and if you think it might be unfair, the process is unfair, I'm sure there are a lot of other teams that feel exactly the same way you do. But, I mean, I would think cooler heads would prevail. And I really don't think that Jerry Jones could actually block the commissioner from getting an extension. You can delay it, you can make it tough, but I think there are a lot of other owners out there that like Roger Goodell and like what he does for the league and for their football team.
Yeah, I get it, but one of the more powerful owners is Jerry Jones, and the thing, just hearing those reports coming out, him having to answer, that was the big storyline that was coming out of Denver. But the other storyline coming out of Denver, obviously, was the thrashing in which the Dallas Cowboys took. And I think the biggest stat for me was, look, when you look at Dak Prescott's numbers, he was 30 of 50, 238 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's already thrown 2 interceptions on the year. Didn't throw that many last year. I believe he only threw 2 last year, if that. And so when you look at the Dallas Cowboys now, I'm not going to look at the numbers of Dak Prescott because it was some mop-up time, mop-up duty he was doing. I think the biggest thing for me is that Ezekiel Elliott, 9 carries, 8 yards. That's .09 per attempt. Now, we've seen running backs have bad games, but this isn't what's supposed to happen with a Dallas Cowboys offensive line, a Dallas Cowboy running back. I really thought Denver's defense came out to play, and you saw them, whether it's in the back end, the guys in the linebacking core, and that front seven, just in general, just made the Dallas Cowboys look fairly run-dimensional. I didn't think that this Denver Broncos defense was capable of that because we sort of, how do I say we, because I'm on the Rams broadcast like yourself, but the Rams took away sort of the wizard of that defense for many years, over the last couple of years in Denver and Wade Phillips. But yet that defense still up to par and gave the Cowboys a run for their money today.
Yeah, Wade Phillips is now in L.A., but they still got players in Denver that can play on that side of the football. And I think we can finally say, or we can say right now, that the Brandon Marshall is actually the linebacker in Denver, not the receiver. I mean,
yes,
5 years ago it was the opposite way, but this guy is an absolute beast. I'm looking at his stat line, 7 tackles. Now, when you see a linebacker that leads your stat column in tackles, and you look at Zeke's numbers, this dude was all over the place. Plus, what was going on up front is, look, maybe Dallas had something that happened to them that hasn't happened in a long time. They got manhandled up front. There's just no running lanes. And when you see, Dak Prescott with 50 attempts, that's not where Dallas wants to be. That's not where Scott Linehan wants to be as their offensive coordinator. They want to run the football, control clock, and throw when they have to, not throw because they can't do anything else. So this sort of Dallas is not a Super Bowl contender.
Oh, man. You know what? As we want to continue more with this game, but I think Aaron Rodgers is at the podium right now. Maybe we can sneak in a couple answers from Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers right now at the podium.
Well, the tough part about that is just not on the same page. We're trying to adjust some things, and when they play a certain coverage against that look, we didn't really have a great option there. So I'm trying to get the ball out, and they're trying to cut those guys. So I got to get the ball out in that situation.
You had a couple of early references to the noise since this is the first regular season game here.
We can beat anybody at home. So I don't know about we don't look at it closing the gap. Obviously, if it comes down to some sort of tiebreaker and when we get down into December and January, this game could be a big one. We might have to come back here, but I think we can beat anybody at home.
Talking about the night in which he had with it was loud in there tonight, and not his best of games as far as team-wise. They didn't win, but it's something that they're going to definitely go back to the drawing board. I am never feeling a situation where the Packers are a team that's not destined for greatness during the season. They always, as long as they got Aaron Rodgers on their team, they are fine. But DaMarco, I'm counting some teams right now that are winless, 0-2 teams. That discussion is already starting, DaMarco. Which 0-2 teams are out? Which ones still have, I guess, a little bit of hope? We'll discuss that next on The Locker Room.
This is The Locker Room on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
The Locker Room here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. I'm Kirk Morrison. He's DaMarco Farr, the Chargers Radio Network on the call. That was missed field goal by Young Wei Koo could have won the game for the Los Angeles Chargers today, but another close loss, a one-possession game for Phillip Rivers. I'm just going to I feel sorry for Phillip Rivers, the guy that plays his heart out every single week. I mean, it's never really to a point where he does everything that he can do, and all of a sudden the Chargers find a way to lose, and they've done that over the last couple of years. Not because of their quarterback. It's just I've never seen a team find a way. Like, okay, we're up by a score, or you know what, we're down by, but you know what, let's find a way to do something this time to lose.
Snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory.
Oh yeah, they've been doing it way too much.
I don't feel sorry for Phillip Rivers. At least they had a window, a run. He was in the same backfield with LaDainian Tomlinson. The guy I feel bad for is Joe Thomas in Cleveland. That's a guy you feel bad for.
Right, yeah, we're going to get to Joe Thomas, man. It was another historical feat besides Aaron Rodgers' historical feat of 300 touchdown passes today. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, creators of the Name Your Price tool. Choose from a range of coverage options and pick the price that works for you. DaMarco Farr right now currently sits 8 teams in the National Football League. That's a quarter of the league. 8 teams that sit at 0-2 right now. Cleveland, Cincinnati, the New York Jets, the Los Angeles Chargers, New Orleans Saints, San Francisco 49ers, Chicago Bears, and the Indianapolis Colts. And those 8 teams, I'll start with the team that you think that can still have time that can kind of reverse their fortunes. And look, it's only 2 games, and I'm not trying to overreact, But look, you can either go left or you can go right. It's either the blue pill or the red pill. And right now, when you look at these 8 teams, which team do you think can change it around before the season's end?
Well, I'm not shocked by Cleveland.
Right.
I think we knew what was happening there. If Kenny Britt's going to be your number one option, I mean, that tells you about your season there. The 2 teams that stood out when you were saying at 0-2 were the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yes, sir.
I thought they had a quarterback in Andy Dalton. I think they thought the same thing I thought. And New Orleans with Drew Brees. Right. I mean, another guy that's probably headed to Canton 5 years after he retires. And you still have a shot with Drew Brees at quarterback. But, yeah, just at 0-2, I'm surprised by New Orleans. That would be the first team I thought that would 1-1 at the very least to start the season, not 0-2.
Yeah, I agree with that one. The one team, too, in there that we just, we heard from the clip there, the Los Angeles Chargers. To me, I look at them as a team that has so much potential, yet they just really can't get it done. But you know what? Let's turn to the Shell Pennzoil Performance Guest Hotline, where we're joined by Desmond Trufant, the cornerback of the Atlanta Falcons. And, just going into this game, Desmond, tell me what was going through your mind, first of all, going up against Aaron Rodgers, a guy who you faced in the NFC Championship game?
He's a great player. Been doing it a long time. Confidence through the roof. Make all the plays, so we knew it was going to be a challenge for us. But, we owned up, played a great game, and, limited to not any big plays, too many big plays. So, we did a good job.
Kirk, right now you're surrounded by Huskies, by the way.
Oh,
How
here
you
we
doing,
go.
Mr. Trufant? That's right.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Yeah, dogs in the house.
Thank you very much. I told you, we're the mortar to football. You need us on your football team. Look, outside of Atlanta, everybody is, when they watch Falcons football and they watch a team come back, they always point to what happened in the Super Bowl. Do you guys ever talk about that? I mean, is that over in your minds? Are you on to this year, or is it still in your head?
Yeah, it's over, man. We dealt with it. It's a new year. We know the team we got, know the players we got, and we're trying to be a consistent elite team, and we on the way to that. So yeah, but we passed that, man. We moving forward and looking forward to next week.
Well, just a quick question: what could you possibly learn from a situation like that? If you could share that with us.
Just closing the game. That was the biggest thing. Just being a closer. That's been one of our themes. As a defense, just when you got a team down, finish them out. That's really what we're trying to do this year.
A couple quick questions for you, Desmond. Number one is you intercepted Aaron Rodgers tonight. The one thing I want to know, what will you do with that football? Where is it going? Are you going to have it painted? What do you do when you intercept Aaron Rodgers? Where does that football go?
Yeah, I paint every interception I've got. I paint them. And I'm going to put it in a trophy case at some point. I got all my balls painted. So at some point I'm going to put them in a trophy case and all that. So, when I'm done playing, I, got them up and can talk about them in the future and stuff,
I got you. We're joined by Desmond Trufant, Morrison, and DaMarco Farr. And Desmond, this defense, I mean, last year it was considered young, but I think it's a year older. You still got some second-year players. You're still fairly young in the NFL. But when you look at how fast this defense is, where is this defense at right now compared to where it was this year? I mean, where it was last year on the way to the Super Bowl?
We're, like you said, we've grown, got a ton of speed at every level. That's, I think, the biggest thing with our team is our speed on defense. We can run with anybody, and we play fast. So I'm excited for what we got, and we can only get better. We still got room to improve. That's the scary thing, So, I'm excited for what we got going.
Hey, tell me about your quarterback, Matt Ryan. I'm shocked when people don't put him in a top 5 or a top 10. They sleep on Matt Ryan. I saw a different Matt Ryan than I've ever seen last season, and I think he's only getting better. Am I right about that?
Yeah, man. He's one of the best out there. Great leader, can make all the throws, will take a hit and sit in there and still make the throws, So wouldn't want anybody else. And, he's still getting better, every year, every game he gets better. So I'm thankful to have him.
Des, when I look at the offense as well, and I haven't had a chance to go and practice with you guys before, and trust me, I'm saying that because going through training camp, looking at Julio Jones, a Muhammad Sanu, then Freeman, Coleman, Gabriel. I mean, you go against these guys every day at practice. I mean, how difficult is it just for you guys, which I think is a good defense in the NFL, to go up against these type of players in practice every day?
They give us a great look. They got, talent at every level. They got elite players at every level. So, they get us ready. When we get to the game, it's easy because, our team, our offense gets us ready and vice versa. We get them ready too. So, it's a blessing, to be able to go against those guys every day.
That's how you know you're good, when Julio Jones gives you a good look. Yeah, best in the game. Tell me about the new stadium. What was it like walking into your new house?
Man, it's beautiful. It just fills you up with joy. You just feel like a little kid. And, the crowd, the energy was great. So, I'm happy I'm here, to experience this. I'll be able to talk about this for the rest of my life. So, so great place to play.
Hey, Desmond, hey, best of luck. Stay healthy and enjoy tonight. Remember, 24-hour rule. Watch the Detroit Lions. That's what you guys got next week. But enjoy tonight, okay?
Hey, and piece of advice, man, when you paint those footballs and you put them in that display case, make sure it's the house that you're not going to move. Keep it in the one house that you don't keep forever. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
All right, appreciate it, Desmond Trufant. That's Desmond Trufant, cornerback of the Atlanta Falcons. He had an interception, 2 tackles tonight in the win over the Green Bay Packers. An outstanding young cornerback, by the way, too. And that defense, DaMarco, it's one thing to build a defense, but when you start to have the older veterans, it's how long can that defense last? Yeah. And the way that Dan Quinn has built this defense, it reminds me of the Seattle Seahawks of 5 years ago when they were the Seattle. Remember the Richard Sherman, the babies, the Cam Chancellor, where we're just learning the Earl Thomas, those names. And then all of a sudden they just have become one of the best defenses in the NFL in Seattle. And you're looking at a team in Atlanta, to me, it's almost a carbon copy, almost a clone of a younger version of that defense we've seen from Seattle.
I just like the way the team is built. I mean, good offense, you got good players on that side of the football, and on defense, you're built to complement that or to play with the lead, get after the passer. I hope Vic Beasley is okay. And on the other end, if it is a dogfight, a slugfest, they can also do that too. That's just a mark of a good football team.
Yeah, it's a mark of a good football team, but there's also some high marks today, DaMarco, some high marks being made by some players who one day will don a gold jacket as they head into Canton, Ohio. We'll tell you about some great, outstanding milestones that took place today in the NFL in week 2, and more of where does the 0-2 teams, where are they going to go? Is there any faith in one 0-2 team, or is it just get ready for next year's 2018 draft? We'll discuss that here on the Locker Room. Kirk Morrison, DaMarco Farr on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
This is the Locker Room on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
It's the Locker Room here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. I'm 8-year NFL veteran and ESPN NFL college football analyst Kirk Morrison. He is Super Bowl champion, longtime St. Louis Ram, now Los Angeles Ram field analyst. He's DaMarco Farr here on the Locker Room. Tweet 1-800-Flowers.com, Twitter feed anytime at ESPN Radio, at Kirk Morrison, at DaMarco Farr 1. Our phone number, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. We're getting your calls ready as we get ready for Overreaction Monday for tomorrow, and for some who are already into tomorrow as well. Get ready for some overreactions because I love them. I need a ton of them. I want people to overreact so I can bring you back down to earth, bring you back down to life.
There shouldn't be any coming out of Chicago. That's not overreaction. That's truth.
That is true. But, DaMarco, there were some milestones today. Milestones for 2 players that I said before will be in Canton. One's an offensive tackle, one's a tight end. And I'll go with the tight end first because when you're a tight end, you can make these kind of plays. And today, Antonio Gates, the Chargers, and I'll say Chargers because most of the touchdowns he had before then, or the 111 touchdowns that he had before, were in San Diego or with the San Diego Chargers. This is his first touchdown with the Los Angeles Chargers, but that one touchdown gave him the record for most touchdowns caught by a tight end. Here's what it sounded like.
Rivers in the shotgun, empty set. Gates inside on the right. Again looking for Gates. Going to the end zone. Touchdown, Chargers! Antonio Gates. Get that ball to Canton and grab Antonio's gold jacket while you're there.
KFI AM 640 on the Call Chargers Radio Network. That was touchdown number 112. He goes past Tony Gonzalez. Most touchdown passes caught by a tight end in National Football League history. Like you heard there, get that football to Canton. He will be a Hall of Famer at some point when he decides to retire. I don't know when that day is. This could be his last year. I know they got a nice little tight end waiting in the wings by the name of Hunter Henry. But when I say the name Antonio Gates, DaMarco, what's the first thing for you that comes to mind?
We don't have a guy that can cover him. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yes.
There's nothing we can do to stop this guy.
And you're talking about linebacker, corner, and
anything. I don't
Yeah.
care what you have. You just don't have enough. I mean, I love watching him on tape. When you have to watch the San Diego Chargers or just want to watch the Chargers on film,
Right.
you get caught watching Phillip Rivers because he's amazing. But then you watch what Gates does in running the passing tree, running the route tree, and how he gets open and what he does to these guys. Truly amazing. It's a great record, but I do have to wonder, man, I mean, are these tight end records safe in today's NFL?
Yeah.
In today's NFL, with the way the rules are, I mean, I would expect more athletic tight ends to, be more in the Gates mode, the Witten mode, guys that can just get open and take advantage of matchups. So I wonder how long this record's going to hold up.
Well, I would think, too, it's about the longevity, too, and how long. I mean, like, Antonio Gates has been playing. I believe this is his 14th, 15th season.
He's been in the league for a long time.
For a while. Same with Tony Gonzalez. So, do you see a tight end playing that long? I think is the question. So
I would have said Rob Gronkowski, but I think he might have left some of his game the latter years in a bar somewhere.
Yeah, but he's also hurt again, and we'll get to his injury as well. We'll catch up with Mike Reiss, our ESPN Nation reporter who covers the New England Patriots. We'll get an update on Rob Gronkowski. But Anthony Lynn, head coach of the Chargers, talked a little bit about the accomplishment of Antonio Gates.
Well, I think he's one of the best of all time. I think he proved that, over his career. Guy came in the league as an undrafted free agent and accomplished the things that he's accomplished. To me, he's the first ballot Hall of Famer, and I think he's the best. And I was happy for him today, but I wish we could have done it on a win.
Yeah, definitely wish you could have done it on a win. That was head coach Anthony Lynn of the Chargers there. But that wasn't the only big accomplishment today. I think the next accomplishment today, DaMarco, was one in which you really have to truly appreciate. Here's a guy in Joe Thomas that's been in the league, it seems like forever, the left tackle for the Cleveland Browns. And today he played his 10,000th consecutive snap. And here's what it sounded like. Here's the play for Joe Thomas.
The Browns start at their own 9-yard line. It's first down, and it's number 10,000 on the snap meter in a row for Joe Thomas on this play. One running back, it's Crowell in the shotgun. It is Kaiser from his own 9. Takes the snap, gives the ball. Here's Crowell wiggling 10, 15 over the 15-yard line, and he gets out near a first down.
Well, a successful 10,000 consecutive snap for the Browns.
A consecutive 10,000 stuff. That was ESPN 850 WKNR, the Browns radio network there. But I'm just trying to put that in perspective. 10,000 consecutive snaps. And here's a guy that's done it for so many years in Cleveland and yet doing it on the losing end as well. As the Cleveland Browns did lose this game, by the way, 24-10 to the Baltimore Ravens. But, DaMarco, think about 10,000 consecutive snaps. And I'm talking about maybe a helmet might or a buckle might get loose on your helmet. Maybe your shoe gets untied. A glove may mess up. You may have a stinger. Anything. Someone steps on that big toe. I mean, I've seen so many things of why a guy may take a play off. That's why I truly respect 10,000 consecutive plays. That is tough, DaMarco. I'll give you this. 2007, I was an Iron Man. I played every single snap on defense that year. Every single snap. And going back to it, my body after that year, I felt it. I felt every single play. But at the same time, I realized what I was doing. I was going out there and doing it for my teammates, doing it for my fans, my family, everybody. But that was just one season. He's done it for like 12 seasons in a row. That's just unbelievable. You think about that kind of consecutive play streak, DaMarco, like how uncommon is that?
Ridiculous. And I saw that they gave him an award called the Bruce Matthews Award. It makes sense because he was another guy that just was always there. Look, amazing. I remember talking to a couple of members of that coaching staff a few years ago when he crossed the 9,000 snap barrier. And he told me, DaMarco, look, if you add up those 9,000 snaps, I bet he grades out in the 95th percentile. He's just that good. Yes, he lines up, but it's more than that. He's playing exceptional football for that many snaps, and the guy's just an Iron Man. So, tremendous. Look, whether he likes it or not, for the sake of how great he is, if I were Cleveland, I would just trade this guy. I would. Send him to a contender. This guy deserves to at least go out with one last hurrah on a playoff football team. I mean, how many more snaps do you think he really has in his body? He's been doing it forever.
He's 11 seasons in. I mean, he's a perennial All-Pro. He's a Pro Bowler every single year. He's a guy that stuck with it.
And he plays for Cleveland. I think you're right. I mean, you actually know every year that you have no shot of winning. You know this going in.
Yeah, but I think he is such a staple now in that city. I think, outside of Jim Brown, I mean, Joe Thomas, he really, I think, epitomizes that city. Everybody loves him. He's basically a guy that says, look, regardless of what happens, snowing, raining, how bad we're doing, put your helmet on and come to work. I think that's something that's just who he is. He embodies what that city represents. You know what?
Trapped.
Overreaction Monday. Overreaction Monday is coming up, DaMarco. Get your overreactions ready. Everybody out there, listen back up. Overreaction Monday here on ESPN Radio.
This is The Locker Room on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Oh, man, The Locker Room here on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and XM80. Presented by Progressive Insurance. I'm Kirk Morrison, 8-year NFL veteran and ESPN college football NFL analyst. He's DaMarco Farr, the Super Bowl champion with the St. Louis Rams and current Los Angeles Rams field analyst. Oh, man, just hearing those calls, man, it's so funny. Greg Papa over on 95.7 The Game, the Raiders radio network, and 98.5 the Sports Hub, the Patriots radio network, and always hearing Scott Zolak.
Man.
Scott's already back. He's back, baby. He's back.
Unicorns. Halos.
Yeah, he's back because he's talking about one Tom Brady who had an outstanding performance today in New Orleans. And we'll get a chance to catch up with Mike Reiss, the ESPN's Nation reporter for the New England Patriots. I can't wait to talk to him and to get sort of the temperature over in Patriot land. Is all things okay after the opening week 1 loss to the Kansas City Chiefs? But the Raiders, listening to that call from the Raiders, Michael Crabtree had a hat trick today, 6 catches, 6 targets, 80 yards, 3 touchdowns, efficiency as the Raiders defeat the New York Jets 45-20. And the race for Sam Darnold is on for the New York Jets. So they're inching closer to kind of quote a buddy of mine, 14 more losses away, fellas, 14 more losses away as people in New York. Really, New York Jets fans saying that already. But there are some other games of note that we definitely have to get into as well. We mentioned earlier the Cowboys blown out by the Denver Broncos by a score of 42-17. Dallas just looked like it was a day in which they just didn't have it. And it's very rare that you see that. But I think the biggest thing that we talked about earlier on the show was that 9 carries for Ezekiel Elliott, only 8 yards. I think some other big games too. Miami, their first game of the season, remember their first week 1 game was canceled. They were going to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers due to Hurricane Irma. They decided to reschedule that game, and Miami gets their first win of the season, 19-17 over the Los Angeles Chargers. First win for Jay Cutler, who didn't have a bad game. He was 24 of 33. Think about it, 230.
They know who he is now.
Yeah, he's 230 and a touchdown. I mean, think about it. You get a guy like Ryan Tannehill gets injured, you insert Jay Cutler, and you have a 1-0 football team in the Miami Dolphins. Another big performance by a team that did not play in Week 1. That was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they show why Jameis Winston should be on a lot of people's short list, I think, for an MVP candidate come the end of the year. He's got weapons, and he utilized them today, and their 29-7 victory over the Chicago Bears today. DaMarco, when you start to look at some of these teams now, I think they're going to start to separate themselves fairly quickly. Before you would say, hey, 5, 6 weeks, maybe 10 weeks in, where a ball club is.
Right.
It seems to me this season, so far from what I've seen in just 2 weeks, and we still got one more game to go, Detroit taking on the New York Giants. But I'm telling you, DaMarco, in just 2 short weeks, it seems like I'm going to know fairly quickly who's going to be a contender or a pretender, who's just getting ready for the 2018 draft.
Wow. I'm kind of there with you, but I would say the Seahawks are going to rebound. I mean, you beat the San Francisco 49ers 12-9.
Right.
I think they're going to get better as the season goes on. I think they'll find a way to get around their offensive line problems or their protection problems for Russell Wilson. You saw that today. Same thing with the Packers. I think the Packers are going to find it at some point. Took it on the chin today, came roaring back. 16 second-half points. You beat them in the second half, the Falcons, but I think they're going to find their way back. But yeah, it's going to take a while for these offenses to start to gel and really round into form. And I think training camp and preseason, maybe the new cuts, the new rule, the way they're cutting down players or they're keeping guys until the fourth cut, maybe that might have something to do with teams trying to find it right now. But yeah, some teams are clicking right now, and I think they're going to come back to earth. Like, I don't think the Broncos are going to score 42 points that often. Not with that quarterback. And Von Miller, we didn't talk a lot about him. What a game today.
He's a game breaker.
He's the best pass rusher in the league, and he still gets to Dak Prescott twice, and I think he had 5 tackles for loss or something like that. So he was all over the place. But, yeah, some of these teams are going to come back to earth, like the Raiders. Possibly could score 45 or 30 points a game, but you'd have to think at some point that's going to change. And like we said, the Saints, at some point that could change because you still have Drew Brees on your roster.
As we get ready for Overreaction Monday, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776, 888-729-3776. There's a lot of overreactions.
Can I make one more point?
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, are you overreacting or are you making a point?
No, I guess this might be. You tell me if this is an overreaction. Hey, Minnesota fans, enjoy that Sam Bradford ride. It's fun.
You know what? And there you go. There you go. You already started it. It was to a point where we knew he was going to be injured at some point. But I would have thought that, and it was weird. You saw him wind up on that injury report. Then all of a sudden, he doesn't start today. Case Keenum got the start for the Minnesota Vikings, and they lost in a big way to the Pittsburgh Steelers 26-9. Le'Veon Bell, 27 carries, 87 yards. Ben Roethlisberger, a huge day, 23 completions, 45 attempts, 243 in the air, 2 touchdowns. Case Keenum, 20 of 37, 167, the guy who actually started for the Rams last year as the former Rams quarterback, former number 1 overall pick Sam Bradford, did not play, nursing a sore knee. Don't know the extent of how long he will be out. But overreacting, should the Minnesota Vikings fans just move on? I'm saying, what's up with
Move on to what? Case Keenum?
Well, you still got Teddy Bridgewater, and I don't know how long. I know he's on the PUP, and so when can you take him off PUP? I know he's out for the first 6 weeks, but will we see Teddy Bridgewater at some point this year, or am I overreacting, DaMarco?
I think at some point you're going to see him. It depends on what Sam Bradford's doing. If it's Sam Bradford from what you saw week 1, then no. Only in spot duty, and it's just to get like the last person in a relay. You clap them in. Good effort. If Sam Bradford comes back and he looks like that same guy or looks like the guy, then
yes.
Let's face it. This is football. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater can say, I can move on. I did the best I could, but Bradford just bested me there. So, but you never know with Sam Bradford, man. I mean, we didn't even see the hit that knocked him out in week 2. It was nothing vicious. It was nothing that you can pinpoint. They don't even know what's wrong. They just can't play the guy. So, like I said, enjoy that Sam Bradford roller coaster. I've been on it for years.
And it's what, do you vomit or what happened on that roller coaster? Is it
the highs are great and the lows are low, man, and it's week to week.
Absolutely. Hey, you can vote for your top performer of Sunday at ESPN Radio, whether it's Michael Crabtree, Tom Brady, Antonio Gates, even we're just talking about Joe Thomas. We will reveal the winner at the end of our show. Get instant gold status. at Shell. Join the Fuel Rewards program now at fuelrewards.com/gold. I got another overreaction for you, DaMarco.
Go ahead.
And this one is Jacoby Brissett will be the full-time starter for the rest of the season for the Indianapolis Colts. I believe we won't see Andrew Luck for the rest of the year. Jacoby Brissett today got the start. He looked better than Scott Tolzien, I'll tell you that. 20 of 37, 216 yards in the air as a starter for the Indianapolis Colts. He did have the one interception, but he had this team primed for a victory. It's just that at the end of the day, the Cardinals came back and ended up winning this game in overtime, by the way. But Jacoby Brissett, the starter right now, full-time, I think, for the Indianapolis Colts for the rest of the year. Maybe at some point, I think you may see Andrew Luck go on IR.
It could be. I mean, there's still a lot of mystery out there surrounding Andrew Luck, but I am with you. And I'm trying to think which opening day starter is having the worst 2 weeks. Is it Scott Tolzien or is it Tom Savage out of Houston? You know, I'll go with Savage. He only got 31 snaps before he got the hook.
Yeah, but I think it's with Savage, he realizes, and I think he realized it fairly quickly the other day when he saw there was nothing there on a play, and Deshaun Watson rushed for 49 yards for a touchdown. And all of a sudden, that was the only touchdown of the game, first of all.
That changes things, yeah.
That changes things. And I think Tom Savage, if I'm a quarterback and the guy who does that comes to the sideline, I say, yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. I like that. Yeah, I can't do that. You just keep doing you.
But don't you just wonder why Bill O'Brien didn't start the kid to begin the season?
Well, we've seen that before, though. You know, a lot of coaches, they tend to go with the veterans before, and a guy who knows the system. And look, we were both around a situation last year where Jeff Fisher did not want to start Jared Goff early. He wanted him to learn how to, go through a week one practice and the prep. And you hope there's a quarterback that can kind of bridge that gap. But I think with Tom Savage, it was to a point where he was just a statue in the pocket. And the offensive line worries and trouble that they had in week one versus Jacksonville when they gave up 10 sacks, I think it was just a decision of need that, hey, we need some mobility in the pocket. We're not going to be able to block everything correctly every single time, but we may need someone to go out there, improvise a little bit. And I think that's what Bill O'Brien did. And I think, look, you go out there and you win your first start in the NFL, hey, I think you got to stick
even though it was ugly. Yeah, I mean, if I'm Dwayne Brown, their left tackle that's still on a beach somewhere, and when they inserted the rookie that can run, well, hell, I'm not playing football all year. They don't need me.
They don't need you. But at some point, they need to make that happen, bringing back their all-pro left tackle. We're going to take more of your phone calls here. Overreaction Monday. We can't wait to get to your phone calls. I got a couple more overreactions as we get ready to head into week 2. We still got one more week 2 game as we get ready to head into week 3. I'm sorry. The Detroit Lions taking on the New York Giants, Monday Night Football here on ESPN. But 888-729-3776, 888-729-3776. Overreaction Monday coming up. Tell me, what is your overreaction here on The Locker Room on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app?
This is The Locker Room on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
It's The Locker Room here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app and XM80. That was 101 Fox, the Chiefs radio network, right there on the call. The Chiefs get a victory today over the Philadelphia Eagles, 27-20. And now there's a jam-packed AFC West with the Kansas City Chiefs standing at 2-0, the Oakland Raiders at 2-0, and the Denver Broncos with their victory over the Dallas Cowboys today, 2-0. I guess bringing up the rear, you could say, is the Los Angeles Chargers at 0-2. He's DaMarco Farr. I'm Kirk Morrison. It's The Locker Room here on ESPN Radio. 888-729-3776. That's 188-SAY-ESPN. Let's go to the phone lines really quickly. We're going to go talk to let's talk to Rick in New York. He's listening on XM80. What's up, Rick?
All right, guys. How's it going? I'm going to overreact.
What you overreacting on today, Rick?
All right, I want to overreact on the fight. For starters, I had about 15 people in my home. We all have our little scattered bets here and there. And the reason I want to overreact is because out of the 3 judges, the only one that had it correct was Harold Letterman, not one of the 3 judges. And I don't understand this because Today, I had a chance to watch the fight. You know, the emotions are over, the drinking is over, the food is over, the people are gone. I'm watching the fight by myself, watching this again. And the more I watch this fight, the more I realize not only did Triple G win the fight, it really wasn't even all that close. So the reason I'm overreacting is because now, how do you expect me to pay for a pay-per-view fight knowing that the only excuse in this world for this to happen is just what Teddy Atlas said. Either the judges are corrupt or inept. So which one is it? So how do you continue to take my money when it's got to be one or the other because there's no other explanation for it? So that's why I'm overreacting.
Appreciate the phone call. I'll defer to my great Super Bowl champion defensive lineman and expert boxer DaMarco Farr. Is the caller right there?
I've been trying to give up cheeseburgers for about 10 years, and I can't do it. I mean, look, when they put two guys in the ring that you really care about, you'll pay $100 to see it. We're boxing fans. Look, I don't think it was corruption. I mean, I don't know, but I don't think it was corruption with Adlai Bird. I think it was more ineptitude. When you score that fight 118 to 110, that tells me you're only watching one guy.
One side, yeah.
Yeah, you only saw what Canelo was doing, and you missed everything that Triple G does. Look, the HBO commentators do it week in and week out. They only call one guy. It's like a homer fight. So I'd go with ineptitude versus corruption.
Appreciate that, Marco. That's why I lean on you when it comes to my boxing needs there. It's the Locker Room here on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app. Kirk Morrison, DaMarco Farr. We turn to Seattle. Chris over in Seattle listening on 710 ESPN. What's up, Chris?
Hello there.
Doing good. How you doing?
Short, but just your last conversation. I'm a Seahawk fan, and with what's going, I so miss us being a part of the AFC West.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was always fun forever, and it hasn't been bad being in the NFC. But with what's going on there, oh, do I miss the AFC.
Yeah, I think we do miss the old AFC. Remember the AFC West when you had the who was it? Who was all in the AFC West? It was the Seattle Seahawks. It was the Chiefs.
Denver.
Chargers. Denver. Yeah, it was those five. Yeah, that was... Man, that was
tough
good.
Football. Yeah,
that's the old Kingdom too.
Yeah, that's right.
When I think of the AFC West, I think of the old Kingdom. That's what I think.
I used to live a block away from the Kingdom.
Really,
right there. Like I could look out my window and see the Kingdom. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, that was the Kingdom. I remember. 888-CSPN 888-729-3776. We're getting ready for Overreaction Monday. We're taking your calls on Overreaction. Let's go up to New York. Alex in New York. He's listening to ESPN. He's listening on the ESPN app. What's up, Alex?
What's going on, guys? How you doing tonight?
Good.
Doing good.
I'm a Panthers fan. I wanted to talk about how bad, not bad, but how below how Newton really plays the first two games of the season, and how I think Greg Olsen breaking his foot's going to impact us a lot. We're already struggling in the red zone. That's not doing us any favors, but just wanted to throw my 2 cents out there. Have a good night, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
You know what? That was going to be one of my overreactions, Kirk. Cam Newton is going to be just fine. That's my overreaction.
And I would tell you, how's he going to be just fine when he just lost his dog?
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
The overreaction is, don't worry, Cam's going to be fine. No, the truth
he's not going to be fine.
This is going to be bad. Yeah,
it's going to be real bad because we all know a man's best friend is a dog, and a quarterback's best friend is a tight end.
And his just broke his foot.
What Greg Olsen has been for Cam Newton. Trust me, it's going to be tough. So it's not an overreaction at all, by no means. I get it. You're sorry.
No, the overreaction is, don't worry about it. We'll be fine. No, you won't.
No. Yeah, we saw it today when you couldn't score a touchdown and you still beat a team in Buffalo that, look, they're going to be competitive, but there's no way they still got the same talent that they had at least 3 weeks ago, let alone a month ago or even last season. They're in a different direction.
This is The Locker Room on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
It's The Locker Room. Kirk Morrison, DaMarco Farr here on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and XM80. Don't forget, tweet the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed at ESPN Radio, at Kirk Morrison, at DaMarco Farr1. And look, I think we were all up in arms a little bit. Me, not necessarily, just a little bit more, because when I saw this team, the Patriots, against the Kansas City Chiefs, I think I was just more shocked that a Bill Belichick coach team would give up 42 points. That's what really got me. But then I said, you know what? Who do the Patriots have in week 2? And I looked, it said New Orleans Saints. And I said, whew, I feel sorry for them Saints, because I just know that when the Patriots are a team that always, they seem to recover. And I think we don't give them enough credit for that. They're a very well-coached team, and that you don't see things happen too often. You know, they make one mistake, but they don't make 2 mistakes, or they don't play bad 2 weeks back-to-back. And I felt that they were going to have a good day, and they definitely did have a good day in New Orleans.
Yeah, I'm looking at the numbers. Brady put it up 39 times, 30 completions, 447 yards. I mean,
that's video game numbers.
That's video game numbers. That's just ridiculous. That should not happen at any point in the National Football League. These are professionals, and he tore you up for 447 yards. His passer rating was through the roof, 139.6. And you look at the guys that are around him making plays. I mean, Gillislee, good back, 18 carries, 69 yards.
Buffalo didn't want him. Just remember, Buffalo didn't want to pay up for him.
And here he is, I mean, making plays. And Gronk, I mean, what can you say about Gronk? 6 catches, $116, a long of 53, and a touchdown. May have hurt the groin, may not. We don't know. He says he's good. But just absolute domination by the Patriots offensively. But you also have to give credit to what they did defensively as well, just limiting Drew Brees, limiting the damage. He threw for 356. In a loss. You know what I mean? In a loss. I mean, that wasn't even close to what the other quarterback did. I mean, just truly amazing. I agree with you. Their week 2 opponent was in for it, and they absolutely took it on the chin.
Well, I think they wanted to clean up defensively, first of all. And when you clean up, defensively first, I always know the offense is always going to be there. But, look, there's an injury to Gronk that happens in this game. Hogan stepped up and did. We'll see what's going to happen with Amendola when he be back. Philip Dorsett has been – there's so many new additions to this, Patriots offense, this Patriots team, that it's almost hard to figure out who's going to be out there from week to week. But, like I said before, they're going to have a plan, and it's going to be somebody who you didn't expect that's going to go out there and be the hero for the day other than Tom Brady,
Absolutely. Look, at some point, they're going to catch up to you. They're going to catch up to the Patriots and figure out what you're trying to do and then go from there. It's not the X's and the O's, it's the Johnnies and the Joes, and they're losing those players. And at some point, that's going to catch up to you. But like you said, maybe defensively, I like what they have on the other side of the football. Maybe Bill Belichick and that group can stand up and you can win close games and not have to depend on blowouts if you're losing players on offense.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's here now. Yeah, I think we have an NFL Nation reporter that covers the New England Patriots for us here.
We got Mike Reiss on the line.
Yeah, got Mike Reiss. Go ahead, DaMarco. You take the first one.
Yeah. Mike, I'm curious. You're around the Patriots, and I'm wondering, what does an angry Tom Brady look like to you?
Oof. Well, it's what we saw in New Orleans on Sunday. It's a guy who, after last week, had challenged the team to raise its level of competitiveness and attitude, and then backed it up. And I think one visual stood out to me. It was at the start of the fourth quarter, and mind you, the Patriots were leading 33-13 at that time. And I happened to just look through my binoculars from the press box to the Patriots sideline, and what did I see but Tom Brady pacing up and down the sideline, imploring his teammates to play even harder, up by 20 points. And to me, that was a great sort of snapshot of the edge, the competitiveness, the leadership that he brings the team, because he wanted to make sure they finished a lot stronger this week than they did in the opener when they got outscored 21-0 in the fourth quarter.
I got to ask real quick, is imploring, is that another way of saying cursing out, yelling at, screaming at?
That's well said. I think imploring maybe seems a little more sophisticated way to say it,
Mike, one thing that I can see that, obviously there's probably no, I guess in Patriot land, no room to get upset or feel like what happened in week 1 versus Kansas City was definitely sort of an afterthought, meaning that you've been around this team, they move on, it's on to the next opponent, which was New Orleans. But outside of that, with so many new players, was there just a little bit of angst as far as will this team rebound this week?
I think so, in terms of maybe the fans, I think this is a reassuring victory for the fans, just to know that, they still have it, right? Because you still have to prove it. I also thought what Tom Brady said was interesting after the game when he said, when you go 0-1 and you have 10 days till your next game, it feels like a year, and to me, that's what that whole week was, this past week, was reminding a lot of those new players that you referenced, sort of the standard, that they have in New England. Look, everyone's going to lose a game, right? I mean, they lose games, but this was like the way they lost the game. It was just so uncharacteristic to be outscored 21-0 in the final quarter and really not be competitive. And so that didn't sit well with Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, the other leaders, and I think the whole week, it was sort of like a miserable environment there because I think they wanted to reinforce to the new players, the Stephon Gilmores down the line, the rookies, that this is not acceptable. It's not the way we do things. And if this is what happens, this is what it's going to be like around here. And I don't think anyone wanted what it was like around there because it wasn't a fun place to be.
Hey, on a side note, enjoy Cassius Marsh. You're going to love this guy. This guy's insane.
If you go back and watch one of the big plays that the Patriots had, they had a big 4th down stop in the game, and Cassius Marsh, rushing off the left defensive edge, had a good pressure to force an incompletion. They asked a lot of him in the opener after he was there for just like 6 days. So I think a big part for him is just trying to learn the system. But he seems like a real fun guy.
He's insane. I just heard that Rob Gronkowski hurt his groin. How many injuries can you suffer on offense before it starts to affect what you guys are doing on offense?
Well, I think it's still a deep offense. Obviously with Gronkowski, that's changes the dynamic, just like Julian Edelman would change the dynamic. But I will tell you, I want to wait to see on this. Gronkowski, after the game, I went up to him in the locker room, and I just said, I have a minute to comment. He said, I'm going to pass. I'll get you tomorrow. He goes, but just so you know, I'm good. And so whatever that means, it didn't seem like he was that concerned with it. But let's make sure, one, it's a groin, which is what the team announced, because if it's maybe something else, if it's a back or something like that, then all of a sudden I think that would change the dynamic of that discussion. And you're right, they have a lot of injuries right now, but, this is a pretty deep team leading into the year anyway. What did we say? This team could be rivaling 2007 in terms of offensive weapons. So, I still think they have a lot of good players, but obviously if you were to take Edelman out, as he's already done for the year, and Gronkowski, if that ends up being worse than he's leading us to believe, that would be a significant blow.
Hey, Mike, I got a couple quickies for you. The first one is when I hear Rob Gronkowski getting hurt, what does that do to his new contract? Because I know there was some language in there as far as if he's active and non-active, because some incentives are in that contract. If you can quickly explain that, and I got one more for you.
Definitely. So basically, what the Patriots did was sort of give him the chance to make more money based on playing time. And so, for example, I'll try to make it quick, and I have it right in front of me. Like he can earn up to $10.75 million if he plays 90% play time and then reaches 80 catches, 1,200 receiving yards, or all pro. Then the number would drop to $8.75 million if it's 80% play time, 70 catches, 1,000 receiving yards, or 12 touchdowns. And then it would be $6.75 million if he reaches 70% play time, 60 catches, 800 receiving yards, or 10 touchdowns. So basically it's that playing time. If he misses time, he's going to miss out on the money.
We appreciate the time, man. We'll catch up with you next time.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
That was Mike Reiss, the ESPN Nation reporter for the New England Patriots, here on The Locker Room on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. You know what, DaMarco, it was just kind of listening to that. I just think that the Patriots, they're just gearing up. I think we can't get overly too high, can't get too low. The Patriots are really right where they're going to be every single year.
Yeah, look, you've got one of the best going under center and one of the best coaches ever on the sideline. So, yeah, it doesn't matter if the names keep changing or you keep losing guys to injury. There's still always a chance in New England. Going up there and watching the Rams play and just watching pregame, and you see all those Super Bowl banners, quiet as it's kept, that is a tough place to play. That's really intimidating to be there. And to have the same guy that's won all those banners still under center, doubly intimidating.
Yeah. I've always said that if we go in here, and I remember playing it with the Buffalo Bills saying this, I don't want them darn Minutemen shooting them guns off. You know what I mean? It's similar to what we talk about when we go to Tampa. We cannot allow that darn cannon on that boat, on that ship, to start shooting. He said if it starts shooting off that boat, that means it's going to be a long day.
That's bad news, right?
That's a lot of points. Hey, but coming up, we'll reveal Sunday's biggest performer and look ahead to Monday Night Football between the Detroit Lions and the New York Giants, and a little update on a guy who is questionable right now to play, but we'll see the latest on if Odell Beckham Jr. will he play or will he won't play. We'll give you the latest. It's Kirk Morrison, DaMarco Farr here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
This is The Locker Room on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
It's The Locker Room here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app and XM80. That was 98.5, the Sports Hub, the Patriots radio network on the call there. And the Patriots win today, a big win coming off of the Week 1 loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. They take down the New Orleans Saints today in quite, I guess you want to call it, easy fashion. They win 36-20. And the results are in after what they did today. Our top performer of the day is Tom Brady. He had 53% of the votes. He had 447 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Michael Crabtree, 33% with his 3 touchdown catches from Derek Carr. And Antonio Gates getting touchdown number 112. That was 14% of the votes. Tomorrow night, Monday Night Football, the New York Football Giants taking on the Detroit Lions. And I think the big question right now is a guy who is questionable to play in this game, and that's one Odell Beckham. Will he not play? This is what people want to know. And he's practiced this week, and our own Adam Schefter tweeted out earlier today that Giants believe there is a good chance that Odell Beckham Jr. will be able to play Monday night, but caution, it's still up in the air. DaMarco, you had a chance to see that this team looked like last Sunday against the Dallas Cowboys. How much do they need Odell Beckham Jr. to have a chance at winning tomorrow night?
Let me see. Why don't you stop breathing and see how much you need air? Yeah, it's the same way. I mean, look, Eli Manning needs Odell Beckham Jr. to make him a better quarterback, to make the offense go. I'd be surprised if he played Monday night, but the last thing I'm going to do is let teams know that he's not going to be there. I'm going to make you prepare as if he's going to be there. But, like I said, I'd be surprised if he's out there playing on that ankle. And if he does, I mean, is he going to really be effective? Is he going to be the same guy that he is without the injury? I doubt it. So if I'm him, if I'm the Giants, I'd rather him rest up and get healthy and come back 100% or as close to it as I can get these first 2 weeks versus trying to send him out there too soon just to force him back on the field. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, you can leave him out one more game, and you have a division opponent next week in Week 3 taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. If he did not play in Monday night's game, you'll have him available possibly for the Philadelphia Eagles game. That's the Giants' third game. But like you mentioned, he is a guy that their offense just looked totally different, DaMarco, without him. I think I said it before, Brandon Marshall, I know he was suited up, but I just thought he was just doing wind sprints the whole entire game because I felt like he was just so ineffective, and that every guy on the team looked like they were helpless without Odell. Like, he opened so much up, and I think it's more about how much of an MVP Odell Beckham Jr. is for the New York Giants, but also Eli Manning. Come on, man, you got to step it up. So I'll be intrigued. Very intriguing to see what they do tomorrow or later tonight on the East Coast against the Detroit Lions. Anything else that really caught your eye today, DaMarco, in Week 2 of the National Football League?
League-wide, you mean, what caught my eye? Well,
just
I mean,
first thoughts.
The game we were watching today at the LA Coliseum, watching the Redskins, I told people, look, don't sleep on the Redskins, don't sleep on Kirk Cousins, although he didn't have to do much today because the Redskins ran up and down the field on the Rams. It was good to have Aaron Donald back, but remember you asked me, I said sometimes you can be too quick, your legs can be too fresh, and I thought we saw that today. He was too far upfield, or the guys weren't with him, and you create vertical seams, and away you go there. So I was a little surprised at how that went down for the Rams today, and that was with my own eyes. I was there. Dare I say I'm surprised by the Chiefs a little bit? I know they're a good football team, but the way they've been playing, the way Alex Smith has been playing. Yeah, I guess I'm a little bit surprised there, and I need to give this man his props. He's a good quarterback in this league. He's a great quarterback for the Chiefs. I don't know how long he's going to be there, but the Chiefs' success right now, I guess, is a little eyebrow-raising, in my opinion.
I think for me, the NFC favorites, so to speak, all look very vulnerable. And I know it's early in the season, but the Cowboys losing 42-17, the Packers losing to the Falcons today, and then the Seahawks not scoring a touchdown. They kicked 4 field goals today. They win 12-9 over the San Francisco 49ers. That's, kind of got me raising the eyebrow a little bit. But then also there is some other brighter spots, and I love
what about the Colts almost beating the Cardinals?
Yeah.
I'm surprised at both.
Well, I just think the Cardinals are just not a good team. They're the oldest team on paper, but you're starting to see that old is really starting to get old, and that young is not there yet. No David Johnson, so not really a surprise there. But I'll throw one last thing at you. This is the NFL, where the Jacksonville Jaguars 1 week prior looked like they were a team that's destined to go to the Super Bowl. 10 sacks, looked like they're AFC South champions, and people thought, hey, you should crown them. And then they get knocked back down to reality. Tennessee knocking them off 37-16, not the game that they had the week before. So definitely one for me that I kind of laughed at a little bit. So that was my takeaway from week 2 of the NFL. Can't wait for tomorrow night, Monday Night Football here on the ESPN. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to hear it and watch it. For DaMarco Farr, for myself, Kirk Morrison, for Luis Cornetta, our coordinating producer, for Dave Saranek, our coordinator, our regular producer, and my guy on the board. You know who you are, Scott Messina. That's what
wow.
I didn't have Scott. I wrote it down. But for Scott Messina, DaMarco Farr, Kirk Morrison, this has been The Locker Room at ESPN Radio.
Thanks for listening to The Locker Room Podcast. Make sure to subscribe by clicking the Listen tab on the ESPN app.